Hello, greetings, and welcome back. If it's your first time here, a real warm welcome. I'm going to talk today about a writing from a very famous saint, and it's part of the ongoing series about spiritual growth. And this is just another way of looking at the inner person. Looking at our personality and our the wholeness of ourselves. The saint is Saint Teresa, and her text is the interior castle, sometimes called the mansions, and she is Saint Teresa of Avila. Some people pronounce that Avila. And she began to write this text, The Interior Castle, on June 2nd in 1577. So this is a 16th century writing. So it has in it no reflection of any of the 21st century drama. She completed it on November 29th of the same year. But during that time, there was a break of approximately 5 months. So it actually only took her about a month to write, and maybe 2 weeks for the first half of the book and 2 weeks for the second. She had planned in her head, I guess you could say. She had a plan. This was based on her spiritual experiences, but she never asked to be able to write. She waited until her superiors actually commanded her to write down this text. And it was written at a time when she was not in good health. She was weighted down by troubles and anxieties resulting from various actions, papal actions that were against the Reform nuns and friars, and her group was part of that. And so the saint, as well as all her friends, was in disgrace and subject to ill treatment. But you're going to see none of that in this text. I'm just going to share with you from the first page of chapter 1, because this gives us her picture of the human. And the headings in my text says, this chapter treats of the beauty and dignity of our souls and makes a comparison to explain this, the advantage of knowing and understanding this, and the favors God grants to us is shown, and how prayer is the gate of the spiritual castle. So all of that is included in chapter 1. I just want to share a little bit from the beginnings. And as I said, this is her view of our inner person. Remember, some call this the divine spark, or the immortal diamond, or the true self. All of those titles are for that part of humanity made in the image of God. So this is what she said. While I was asking our Lord today to speak to me, since I knew not what to say, nor how to commence this work which obedience had laid upon me, an idea occurred to me which I will explain, and which will serve as a foundation for what I'm about to write. I thought of the soul as resembling a castle. Now, when she uses the word soul here, she is referring to the whole person. Remember, in Genesis chapter 2, some versions say that God breathed the breath of life into this human figure that he had made from the dust of the earth, and it became a living soul. So this first part, she is using soul to mean the whole person, body, what we would say body, soul, and spirit. And the inner person is going to be what I insist on calling spirit, not calling soul. We all have our things that we insist upon, and that's one of mine. So I thought of the person as resembling a castle formed of a single diamond or a very transparent crystal and containing many rooms. Just as in heaven, there are many mansions. If we reflect, sisters, now remember, she's in a convent. She's writing this to the sisters in the convent. We shall see that the soul of the just person is but a paradise, in which God tells us he takes his delight. What do you imagine must be that dwelling be in which a king so mighty, so wise, and so pure, containing in himself all good, can delight to rest? So this is her description of God as king, mighty, wise, pure, who has chosen to rest in some part of this human. Nothing can be compared to the great beauty and capabilities of a soul. However keen our intellects will be, or may be, they are as unable to comprehend them as to comprehend God. For, as he has told us, he created us in his image and likeness. So now you see, her definition of soul, her use of the word soul has changed to this inner part that is of great beauty and capabilities. And she points out that this is the part made in the image and likeness of God himself. So that's why I find the use of soul and spirit, or false self and true self, more meaningful to us than using the word soul to mean several different things. But she's the saint, and we're reading her words. The fact that it is made in God's image teaches us how great are its dignity and loveliness. It is no small misfortune and grace that through our own fault we neither understand our nature nor our origin. So she says it's a misfortune that we do not understand how we are made in the image of God and what our origin is. Would it not be gross ignorance, my daughters, if, when a man was questioned about his name or country or parents, he could not answer? Stupid as this would be, this man who doesn't know his name or his country of origin or his parents, it would be unspeakably more foolish to care to learn nothing of our nature except that we possess bodies, and only to realize vaguely that we have souls because people say so and it's a doctrine of the faith. So she's giving us the situation of many people. They know they have a soul because the church told them so, but they really only identify with the body-mind connection. Rarely do we reflect upon what gifts our souls may possess, who dwells within them, or how extremely precious they are. Therefore, we do little to preserve their beauty. All our care is concentrated on our bodies, which are, of course, the setting of the diamond, or the outer walls of the castle. Good metaphor, isn't it? Our bodies have a diamond set within them, and this is a castle, and these are the outer walls. What you see is the outer wall of the castle. Let us imagine, as I said, there are many rooms in the castle, of which some are above, some below, others at the side. In the center, in the very midst of all, is the principal chamber in which God and the soul, let's say the inner person, God and the inner person hold their most secret intercourse. Think over this comparison very carefully. God grant it may enlighten you about the different kinds of graces that He's pleased to bestow upon the soul, upon the spirit. No one can know all of them. The knowledge that such things are possible will console you greatly, should our Lord ever grant you any of these favors. So she's speaking of consolations of the spirit. Remember, these are sisters in a convent, so all of them have some kind of meditation practice. It has been mentioned in the book that I recommended, Christian Meditation, that at least in some of the monasteries and convents, they don't tell you exactly how to meditate, but everyone is expected to meditate. And in the course of that meditation, there are different spiritual experiences that happen. And so she says that the knowledge of such things, that such things are possible, will console you greatly should the Lord ever grant you any of these favors. The thought of heaven and happiness of the saints does not harm us, but cheers and urges us to win this joy for ourselves. Nor will it injure us to know that during this exile, in Catholicism, it is common to call our time on earth being in exile, separated from God. God, even in our exile, God can communicate Himself to us. It would rather make us love Him for such immense goodness and infinite mercy. So Teresa says, as far as I can understand, the gate by which to enter this castle is prayer and meditation. So, thank you so much for watching this video. Sometimes it is hard for people who are in a different category. In other words, perhaps you're not a Christian and have no idea who this Teresa of Avila is, or you're a Protestant and you've been taught negative things about listening to the saints. But if you have listened this far, you've got the picture that Teresa is trying to paint. That the human person is like a castle with many rooms, but the center, where the heart of the person is, and often the heart is used in the Old Testament to refer to the spirit of a person, the words are used interchangeably, our center. That's a place, she says, where God dwells. So this is just another metaphor, another set of words pointing to the fact that we do have this center within where we communicate with God. It's almost like, if I were going to put it in my words, well, I liked where she said the body is the outside of the castle. Well, the other rooms would be things like our thoughts and our memories and our expectations and our desires. But the central room is the room of connection, the room of oneness, the room of divinity. And we, as Richard Rohr says, we just kind of stumble upon this when maybe when we fall in love, or maybe when we go through a crisis in our lives. We discover that there is this inner place of peace, and sometimes unsought for and unexpected, like in the case of Eckhart Tolle. This happens to us. It happens to us, and we can just be joyful that that we're here, and that the divine is here. The higher consciousness, the Christ consciousness, is in us and with us. Well, enough of me talking about St. Teresa. I hope, like always, you'll take from a video what you find helpful. Just discard the rest if it is not helpful at this time. Maybe store it in a closet in one of your rooms and bring it out at a time when it might be helpful to you. Hey, there's another metaphor for you. Anyway, have a great day. I'll see you soon.